All right, listen up. I want to talk about something most people completely underestimate: disciplining your thinking. People think discipline is just about waking up at 5 a.m. or grinding 16 hours a day. That's half the story. Real discipline starts in here, your mind. Step 1, awareness. You need to know what you're thinking before you can change it. Most people don't even realize the autopilot thoughts running in their heads. I can't do this. I'm too late. They're better than May. Those are mental habits. The first step in discipline is catching them in real time. Step 2, filter negativity. Your mind is like a crowded room. If every thought is toxic, you're never going to win. Start questioning your doubts. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me or holding me back? If it's holding you back, kick it out. Step 3, clarity is king. Your brain can only focus on so much at once. Stop overloading it with noise, social media, comparisons, unnecessary worry. Define your priorities. If a thought doesn't serve those priorities, let it go. Step 4, accountability. Own your thinking. Don't blame the economy, your parents, your boss, or the algorithm. Your mind makes choices every day, and those choices shape your life. Discipline means taking full responsibility for them. Step 5, consistency over intensity. You're not going to wake up one morning with perfect mental discipline. You train your mind like a muscle. Repetition matters. Start small. Rewire one thought, one reaction, one habit at a time. Action is the final test. Thinking alone is useless. If your thoughts don't lead to decisions, they don't matter. A disciplined mind pushes you to act, even when fear or doubt shows up. It's not about thinking smarter. It's about thinking smarter and then doing. So here's the bottom line. Your brain is the most powerful tool you have. Train it, question it, own it, and make it work for you, not against you. Because the person who can control their thinking controls their future. Most people go through their entire lives without ever noticing what's actually running in their heads. You wake up, check your phone, scroll social media, and suddenly your brain is full of other people's opinions, other people's highlights, and all these comparisons that have nothing to do with your reality. Awareness of your thoughts is the first and most important step in disciplining your mind. It's about realizing that your brain is not just a passenger, it's driving your life. And if you're not paying attention, it's driving you off the cliff. You have to start observing your thoughts like an outsider, like you're watching a movie. But this time you're in the director's chair. Every time you notice a thought, especially the negative or limiting ones, you have an opportunity to choose whether it stays or goes. Most people don't do this. They let their brains run on autopilot, which is why they feel stuck, frustrated, or anxious all the time. Awareness also means understanding the difference between thoughts and facts. Just because you think something doesn't make it true. I can't do this. I'll never catch up. I'm not smart enough. Those are thoughts, not reality. They're stories you're telling yourself. The people who succeed aren't the ones with the fewest doubts. They're the ones who catch those doubts, recognize them, and refuse to let them control their actions. You have to build the habit of asking yourself, is this thought helping me or is it holding me back? Once you start doing this consistently, you'll begin to notice patterns. Certain triggers, social situations, comparisons, stress will consistently bring up the same unhelpful thoughts. That's valuable information. When you see the patterns, you can start preemptively managing them, catching yourself before you spiral, and redirecting your focus toward productive thinking instead of self-sabotage. Awareness also creates clarity. When your mind is cluttered with autopilot thoughts, you make worse decisions. When you're conscious of what you're thinking, you can prioritize better. Focus on what really matters and make choices that move you forward instead of sideways. The more aware you become, the easier it is to take control of your mental state. Respond instead of react, and use your brain as a tool instead of a source of stress. Negativity is like a virus in your mind, and most people don't even realize how contagious it is. It comes from the news, social media, other people's opinions, or even the voice inside your own head. The problem is, if you don't actively filter it out, it takes over slowly, silently, and before you know it, it's influencing your decisions, your energy, and your confidence. Filtering negativity isn't about being blindly positive or pretending challenges don't exist. It's about recognizing which thoughts, influences, and information are productive and which ones are holding you back. It's about being ruthless with what you let into your mental space, because your brain only has so much bandwidth, and if half of it is being wasted on negativity, you're never going to operate at full capacity. Start with your own thoughts, the internal dialogue that runs on repeat every day. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. It's too late for me. That's pure mental clutter. Every time one of these thoughts pops up, pause and interrogate it. Ask yourself, is this real? Is this helping me, or is it keeping me stuck? Awareness alone isn't enough. You need action. Replace those thoughts with something that gives you perspective, something that aligns with your goals and values, even if it's just a small shift at first. You don't need to eliminate all doubt, but you do need to cut out the chronic, unnecessary negativity that paralyzes most people before they even start. Filtering negativity also applies to your environment. The people you spend time with, the content you consume, the conversations you engage in, these shape your thinking far more than most realize. If you surround yourself with pessimism, criticism, and constant complaining, your mind will mirror it. You have to be intentional about who and what you let influence you. That might mean unfollowing accounts, limiting toxic relationships, or simply being honest about which conversations drain you instead of energizing you. You need to become a curator of your mental inputs, treating them like ingredients for a recipe. Only the right ingredients produce the results you want, and the wrong ones will ruin the dish every time. The truth is, negativity is everywhere, and it's cheap and easy to consume. But discipline means being conscious about what you allow in and refusing to feed the parts of your brain that make you doubt yourself. When you consistently filter negativity, you start to notice a shift in how you feel, how you approach problems, and how resilient you are. You start responding to challenges with clarity and energy instead of fear and hesitation. Clarity is one of the most undervalued skills in life, and yet it's the single thing that separates people who make progress from people who just spin their wheels endlessly. Most people are living in a fog, overloaded with information, opinions, and distractions. They wake up, check their phone, scroll endlessly, and before they even realize it, their mind is full of other people's priorities instead of their own. Prioritizing clarity means cutting through that fog. It means deciding what truly matters and giving it your full attention, instead of spreading yourself thin across 10 different things that don't move the needle. When you have clarity, decision-making becomes simple. You don't get stuck in analysis paralysis or trapped in what-ifs. You know your path, you see your next move, and your energy is focused where it counts. The first step to clarity is identifying your goals and values. Without a clear understanding of what you want and why you want it, your thoughts are like a GPS with a broken signal. You're moving, but you have no idea where you're going. Write down your priorities, even if they seem small or obvious. Seeing them in black and white forces your mind to focus and keeps you from chasing every shiny distraction that pops up. Once you know what matters, you start saying no to things that don't align. This is huge. Most people fail not because they don't work hard, but because they work hard on the wrong things. Discipline your thinking by constantly asking, does this move me closer to my goal, or is it just noise? Clarity also comes from simplifying your environment. Clean up mental and physical clutter. Reduce the information overload from social media, endless news cycles, and overcommitting to tasks that don't serve your purpose. When your mind isn't bogged down by unnecessary inputs, your brain can focus on strategy, creativity, and problem solving. You can actually think straight instead of reacting emotionally to every little stimulus. The more you practice this, the more instinctively your mind will filter distractions automatically, leaving you free to invest your energy where it creates the most impact. Clarity requires reflection. Take time to review your actions, decisions, and thought patterns regularly. Ask yourself, am I moving in the right direction? Am I focusing on what matters most? Being intentional about your thinking is not a one-time thing, it's a constant practice. The brain loves shortcuts, and if you don't guide it, it will default to business and noise instead of purpose. Clarity gives your thinking structure. It gives your decisions weight and direction. It allows you to respond instead of react, to move intentionally instead of being pulled by external pressures. Mental accountability is one of the most overlooked skills when it comes to personal growth. Yet it's the backbone of disciplined thinking. Most people blame their circumstances, other people, or even luck for their failures and frustrations. They say things like, "The economy is tough," "My boss doesn't support me," or "I didn't have the right opportunities." The truth is your brain is running the show, and unless you hold it accountable, it's going to make excuses and justify mediocrity. Mental accountability means taking full responsibility for your thoughts, your decisions, and your reactions. It means recognizing that every choice starts in your mind, and your life is the result of the patterns of thinking you consistently allow. Start by observing your decisions and asking yourself why you made them. Did you act out of fear, laziness, or habit? Or did you act intentionally, aligned with your goals and values? Most people never pause to answer these questions, which is why they repeat the same mistakes over and over. Mental accountability requires brutal honesty with yourself. You need to admit when you've been lazy, when you've been reactive instead of proactive, and when you've let self-limiting beliefs dictate your actions. This isn't about guilt or self-punishment, it's about ownership. Once you see your own patterns, you can start interrupting the ones that don't serve you. A big part of accountability is measuring your thinking against outcomes. If your thoughts aren't producing results, you have to ask yourself why. Are you overcomplicating? Are you overthinking without action? Are you letting fear or doubt take the wheel? Mental accountability forces you to confront these questions head on. It also means being responsible for your emotional state. Most people let moods dictate behavior. If you're upset, frustrated, or insecure, you justify bad decisions based on that temporary emotion. Discipline means recognizing that your mental state is yours to manage. You can't control everything in life, but you can control how you think about it, how you respond to it, and whether you allow it to derail your progress. Another critical aspect of mental accountability is setting standards for yourself. Decide what kind of thinker you want to be, what kind of decisions you will make, then what habits you will refuse to tolerate. Then hold yourself to those standards relentlessly. Treat your brain like an employee you manage. You wouldn't let an employee consistently make mistakes without correcting them, and you shouldn't do that to yourself either. The more you practice this, the more automatic accountability becomes, and over time, your thoughts become sharper, more intentional, and far more productive. Most people think discipline is about intensity. They think it's about going all in for a few hours, crushing it once, and then calling themselves motivated. That's a mistake. Intensity without consistency is like trying to fill a bucket with a fire hose once a month. It makes a splash, but it never fills up. Real growth, real mental discipline, comes from consistency, not short bursts of energy. Showing up every day, even when it's boring, even when it's uncomfortable, is what separates people who accomplish their goals from people who just dream about them. Your mind, like your body, needs repeated practice. Habits are formed through repetition, not motivation, and the more consistent you are, the more your brain rewires itself toward productive thinking instead of autopilot distraction. Consistency over intensity means committing to small, manageable actions every day, even if they don't feel monumental. It's thinking in terms of compound growth. A 10-minute reflection daily, a single small decision made with awareness, a conscious effort to redirect a negative thought. Over time, these small actions add up into massive results. Most people ignore this because it's not flashy. It doesn't create an immediate dopamine hit like scrolling social media or chasing dramatic transformations. But that's exactly why consistency works. It's subtle, invisible, and relentless. It beats intensity every single time because the brain starts to internalize these repeated choices and rewires itself for long-term success. Another critical part of consistency is patience. Most people quit because they expect overnight change. They think, if I discipline my thinking today, I should feel like a genius tomorrow. That's not how it works. Your mind adapts slowly. It learns through practice, correction, and repetition. Every day you show up, every time you catch a negative thought and redirect it, every time you prioritize clarity, you're building neural pathways that will serve you for life. It's like putting bricks in a wall. No single brick changes the view, But over time, you have a solid foundation that supports anything you want to build. Consistency also protects you from burnout. When you rely solely on intensity, you're burning fuel you can't replenish. You exhaust yourself, you get frustrated, and you often quit before you even see progress. Consistency allows for sustainable growth. It makes mental discipline a habit rather than a one-time performance. It trains your mind to respond predictably, to stay calm under stress, and to perform even when motivation is low. It's about building a system around your thinking, not relying on occasional sparks of willpower to carry you. Thinking alone will never get you anywhere. You can plan, analyze, reflect, and strategize all you want. But without action, your thoughts are just noise. An action-oriented mindset means training your brain to move from thought to execution consistently. Most people get stuck in thinking mode because it feels safe. Thoughts don't fail, they don't hurt your ego, and they don't make you accountable. But action is where the rubber meets the road. Every great accomplishment starts with a thought, yes, but it's followed by consistent, purposeful action. Discipline your thinking not just to ideate, but to create results. Because a brain that thinks without acting is a brain that spins in circles and wastes potential. Action-oriented thinking begins with clarity about your next step. You can't act effectively if your brain is overloaded with noise and distractions. Ask yourself, what is one concrete step I can take right now? It doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be massive. The key is to move. Momentum is built through small, consistent actions that compound over time. People underestimate this. They wait for the perfect plan, the perfect moment, or the perfect circumstances. That's procrastination disguised as preparation. The action-oriented mind doesn't wait. It adapts, tests, and improves along the way. Mistakes aren't failures, they're feedback. Every action, even if imperfect, teaches your mind, strengthens your habits, and creates data for better decision-making. Another aspect of an action-oriented mindset is responsibility. Your thoughts are only as valuable as the results they produce. If you sit around thinking about opportunities, complaining about what could go wrong, or analyzing endlessly without acting, you are sabotaging yourself. Train your brain to pair ideas with execution. Make a commitment for every hour spent thinking or planning. Spend an equal or greater amount of time doing. This bridges the gap between strategy and results, transforming potential energy into real-world outcomes. An action-oriented mindset also cultivates courage. Acting forces you to confront uncertainty, fear, and self-doubt. Every time you push forward despite hesitation, your brain rewires itself to trust action over inaction. Over time, you start reacting differently to challenges. Instead of overthinking, you move. Instead of doubting, you do. Instead of waiting, you create. The brain learns to value results over analysis, progress over perfection, and movement over stagnation. The more you act, the more your thinking becomes disciplined by reality. Thoughts start aligning with outcomes, decisions become sharper, and your mind evolves into a tool for results instead of a factory of excuses. At the end of the day, disciplining your thinking isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up for your own mind every single day. It's about awareness, catching the autopilot thoughts that don't serve you. It's about filtering negativity so your brain isn't constantly dragged down. It's about clarity, knowing what matters, cutting the noise, and focusing your energy where it counts. It's about holding yourself accountable, refusing to blame circumstances, and taking ownership of every decision and reaction. It's about consistency, showing up every day, even when it's uncomfortable or boring, because repeated effort compounds into unstoppable momentum. And finally, it's about action, pairing every thought with movement, turning ideas into results, and letting your brain learn through doing. Discipline in thinking is the foundation of everything else in life: your career, your relationships, your health, your creativity. If you can train your mind to focus, to take responsibility, to act intentionally, nothing external can control you. You'll stop being a passenger in your own life and start driving it with purpose. Your thoughts are the engine, your actions are the fuel, and the results you achieve are the road you carve for yourself. The sooner you take control of your thinking, the sooner you turn potential into impact, ideas into results, and dreams into reality.